You and I both.
We are live. Okay. Welcome, folks. Give
Big
me a
up on yourself.
moment while I get the music. Gotta get our intro.
Like a ball of the Rasta.
Oh. Hmm. Oh, it wants to be stuck. Am I host?
Yeah.
Yeah?
I
Okay.
feel like I can hear Nathan in the background, like banging his feet.
All good.
I say, yo,
Uh,
daddy, stop your podcast and come through. How's everybody doing this Saturday?
I know. All right. We got the music going. About to record. There we go. Oh, let's pause the recording because
Oh, it's not recording?
no technical difficulties. On YouTube, we're on live. So hi guys, just bear with us. Bear with us. Technical difficulties, but it's all
Lots of
good,
technical difficulties during COVID.
right? Sure. Blame it on COVID. That's what I've learned. That's what I've learned.
Yeah, and
Blame everything on COVID, right?
right, I wish I was still in Jamaica.
Sir, you don't even know. I wish I was away still too. All
John no
right, so I'm
sir.
all right, so I'm ready. In
All right,
three,
ready to go
two,
live.
1.
Soon.
Okay. Another episode of the things I wish I knew about money. I'm your host, Camille Smith.
And I'm your co-host, your boy Dre. How's this
Yeah.
Saturday going?
Oh, how is my Saturday? It's okay. Just been working, prepping, and all that good stuff, and just thinking of the past.
Hmm.
What about you, sir?
Nice. I'm catching up on the haves and the haves not. I'm actually quite cheesed with Tyler Perry. I feel like this guy needs to wrap up this show. It's about time. But yeah, it's pretty good so far. Just got back, bit of jet lag, and you were telling me that Earn Your Leisure was in Jamaica.
Yeah.
I didn't
Oh,
get to meet them, but
oh my God. Like,
and it
I
looked like and
seen
they're right
that.
beside of me.
Yeah, like I seen that on Monday and I was like, oh, hold on, Andre, find them. Because what? I think I walked away from my computer for a second and then all of a sudden I heard, I want to say Baby Sham because I know him as Baby Sham, but he's called Sham now. And I hear, this is a Bible story. I was like,
Oh, real ghetto
what?
story.
I was like,
I lie. I
what's
saw them
going
going.
on?
I remember
Yeah.
those days, and
Rah, rah, rah. So I was really stoked about that because I was like, that is one of our goals for this
mm,
podcast is to like, bring us earn your leisure to things I wish I knew about money.
yeah,
Jeez.
man, them will come on, man.
Yes,
We're gonna make sure they come on.
right? Shoot.
I can hear my little guy in the background, so might have to go grab him soon. Daddy duties.
No worries, no worries.
But yeah,
And
like eh,
I think today's going to be an exciting episode because this Andre brought me about, talk about how to set up a business. And I think that's
yeah,
a great idea because I know for the last couple months or maybe a year, for the last year I've been getting a lot of questions on like how do you set up a business? Like, what's the right way? What should I do? And I'm like, I'm always that person that I like to give the links or the resources
Right.
to also not only I can provide you the information, but I need you to also read it as well so you
Yeah.
have a better understanding. Even though that like I've done it before, it's good that you try to see what's best for you because
100%.
like I'm a sole proprietorship and you are in incorporation.
Right.
So those are two different things. And I know a lot of people are like, oh, so what's the difference? Like, what do I do? What do I do? I'm like, here's a link.
Read it.
especially like if they ask me like out of the blue
Right,
without
right.
like setting up an appointment, and like if you set up an appointment with me to ask those type of questions, then I can give you the full synopsis and all that stuff, like the rundown of how to do it. But if you ask me randomly, I'm gonna send you a link.
Yeah. And it's a question that I get all the time myself. Like what is the difference between sole proprietor, incorporation,
Ooh.
and how to go about it? What are the benefits? And usually around tax time, because I also have like clients who are sole proprietor and they want to know if they should make the move over into a corporation, right? At the end of the day, you're still the same owner. So what are the difference? Like,
Yeah. I think that's
so
sorry to
yeah,
cut you off. I think the perfect thing for us is to talk about like the three different or the different types of structures of a
yeah,
business.
definitely agree. And so yeah, so so there's a sole proprietor, there's corporation, there's partnership. I think are
Mm-hmm.
the main ones. You might have a few other ones, but those are
The main
the
ones.
major ones. I don't know which one you want to tackle. So you have the sole proprietor. I mean, I was a sole proprietor at one time.
Yeah.
That's where I started my tax business,
Mm-hmm.
right? So I don't know if you want to like share like your view on sole proprietor, like what you know about it. What was that experience for you from a tax perspective, and why you chose sole proprietor?
That is a great question.
I know I'm
Okay,
sure like 5 questions for a while ago.
I know, right? So, okay, let me first give you guys the definition of it. Let me give you the technical definition, and then I'll tell you the rundown. So, a sole proprietorship is an informed and easily created, which is why it's the most common structure chosen by a new business. So, basically, the business and the operator are the same
Yeah,
of the eyes of the legal and tax system, let's say. So basically, Finance IQ Services is a sole proprietorship because I'm the only
hmm,
person. But when it comes to my taxes, my personal taxes, it's combined with my personal tax. So even though it's like a
yeah,
business income, but that ish is
yeah.
together as
Everything
one.
is together. Yeah.
Yeah. So say I because before I had a bit not business. I was working
Yeah.
business. So having those combined, boy, the taxes
Oliver
paying.
tax, Oliver tax. And but interestingly, and I'm glad you raised that about the tax because as a sole proprietor, just like you said,
Mhm.
income that you earn from the business is combined with any other income that you have, be it from a job or
Yes.
otherwise, to create your total income. And so that
Mm-hmm.
can increase the tax. But on the flip side, and this only benefits sole proprietor, it's not beneficial to corporation.
Mm-hmm.
In a situation where you have employment income and you have income from your you have a loss from your sole proprietorship, you can use that loss to offset your employment income. So it reduces your employment income to some extent. So that's a benefit. That's why
Agree. But
see, I
in a
love
sense,
audit those sole proprietor because some people, you know what I mean, like they'll use that to their advantage.
but it doesn't mean that just because at the end of the day, folks, you don't want to have a business that has a negative net income or negative net income for the rest of your
Right.
lives,
For the rest of your life,
because
exactly. Don't make no sense.
that's not the goal. That's not how you create generational wealth or
Right.
financial freedom.
Exactly. Right.
Right?
That's in my opinion is tax evasion. You definitely don't want to do that because it means that you're doing stuff to like avoid taxes. If it
Yes,
is that you're in business and every single year you're reporting a loss. So
exactly.
I mean, and that is illegal. So you don't want to go that
We
route.
don't want it, and we're not trying to
So
teach that way.
exactly. So, and I mean, of course, let's put it out there. This, when we talk about it's for educational purpose, edutainment. It's not advice. We're
Thank you,
not
sir.
giving legal advice. Speak to your accountant. I'm not an accountant. I mean, I'm working toward my designation, but I'm not
Good
yet
time.
certified. And I don't intend to practice as an accountant. And it looks like that duties need to start, So Camille, I'm gonna make you go on and discuss
All
the
right.
things move forward.
So, when it comes to sole proprietorship, as Andre mentioned, there's different type of things you also want to do. First things first, do not or try not to have your personal um, expenses or funds together with your business funds and expenses, because that's when things are a mess. I've been trying to, in the last couple years, I'm going to say train individuals to have a separate account, because you have your business account and you have your personal account. And the best thing about having your business account, that you can actually put money in from your business account to your personal account to actually fund your life. So if you
Mhm.
start becoming like a sole proprietorship, like you have no other income, have the business income, still have your personal income account, sorry, have your business account, have your personal account,
Mhm.
set a certain amount of money to go into your
Mhm.
personal account to keep you funding your personal life,
Yeah.
right? And I've been saying that from time. Like I've told many people, um, it takes a while for individuals to understand why. But
Mhm.
when it comes to taxes, then they'll understand.
Yeah.
Um, what else? And it's funny because I was watching this, and I might be sidetracking for a bit. I was watching a video that says that you should have 5 different business accounts. One for operating. I'm not going to say them all because I don't remember. One for operating, one for taxes, one for innovation, one for marketing. Let's see, there's one I wasn't listening.
That's
And
interesting. I've
maybe,
never heard that one.
yeah, it was a
That
lot
sounds
though.
like too much.
Yeah,
I mean, I can understand if you have different budgets for each of those, but
oh, and I
um,
think for the last one would be for like rainy days, or like when hits the fan, right?
right,
But I feel like it's the same way that we do our personal
yeah,
accounts and stuff, like savings and all that good stuff. It's too much for a business. And you know how many
way
fees you
too
have to
much.
pay? Bank fees?
Yeah,
Bank fees
that don't make
alone,
no sense.
right?
Um,
So, but I think when it comes to the business account, it is ideal to have set money aside for your taxes, because you're
yeah,
gonna pay taxes, and your HST.
that's a good suggestion.
I don't know if I'm allowed to say this or allowed to suggest this, so correct me
In
if
my
I'm wrong.
opinion,
In my opinion, if you have HST, or if you want to save for your taxes, put it in a business savings account, so you can pull it out. So you make a little coins with it, and then you'd be
mhm,
able to pay it out when the day comes that you have to
yeah,
do it. And
yeah,
that's
and I
just a
mean,
suggestion.
there's definitely some like a lot of things they can do, and there's obviously like benefit, like depending on the situation, it can be beneficial. Incorporation are it's actually more attractive from
Mhm.
like in terms of formalities, like if
Yes.
you when you want to get a loan, or um,
Hmm.
if you're like trying to get investors on board, or you're trying to apply for grants. And so we're actually going to speak about some of those grants that are available. But
Yes.
so let's so Kamille as a sole proprietor of an incorporation. But before we're going on my incorporation stuff, I actually want to backtrack a little bit to so you get up today or you've been planning for a while, you've been thinking about starting a business,
That's the
like
key.
it can be
That's the
overwhelming,
key.
right? Like where do you start, right? I think that's
Yes.
the question I get all the time. And I teach classes, I teach entrepreneurship and innovation, and that's one of the questions that I get at the beginning of the course, in the middle and toward the end. People
Mm-hmm.
still feel like they need to know where to start, and sometimes people it almost feel like people want like a step-by-step guide. And I mean, there
Absolutely.
is to some extent. So the first thing you really want to think about is like, what is it that you're trying to do, right? Like, what type of business is it, right? So you have to figure
Mm-hmm.
out, flesh out the type of business and who your intended customers are. You want to think about your business name. So we're going to call this business, right? Where you're
True.
going to be selling, how are you going to reach your customers? Is it online? Is it a physical store? And of course, you want to think about, like where people are shopping the most, how you're gonna reach these people. You also want to think about how you're gonna finance the business, right? Right. So where you're gonna get the money from? Am I gonna use my personal
GoFundMe.
savings?
Sir, sir.
Or you say
I'm
rubber
not.
bank?
No, no, no. Because I just noticed. I shouldn't even crack at jokes. But if you wanna, there's different ways to fund.
Mhm.
Absolutely. Um, I just feel like the right way is to use your personal money, your
Right.
savings, to kind of start it off. Because
Yeah.
you're going to be able to use those as like tax
Right.
deductibles for expenses.
Yes. And one of the things I used to teach my class, so how they have the business development life cycle. So I use that to talk about the funding cycle. So when
Mm-hmm.
you're a business in your early stages, you're limited to some extent, depending on the type of business. You're limited in terms of funding. So your type of funding that you probably gonna be able to access is more like seed funding or like a personal fund or
Yes.
fund from family or whatever. And then when you're in your growth stage, you probably start attracting probably like financial institutions and larger investors and so on and so forth. So you want to think about that. I mean, some businesses you can literally get up and start them with yourself or your laptop or whatever the case is, right? So again, it
I mean,
depends
I
on
did.
the nature of the business that you're going in. Then you also want to think about the structure. And so Kamille mentioned this earlier that there are different types of structures. So sole proprietorship, partnership, corporation, right? So Kamille
So,
spoke about sole proprietor. Yeah.
question. Because I love how you're talking about the planning, because planning is very important. And
Mm-hmm.
I feel like, and correct me if I'm wrong or correct me if I'm right.
No man, you're
There's
always
like
right.
five. There's like five steps, right? And then you talked about it, like funding,
Mm-hmm.
what's the who's the customer is gonna be. The most important one is the structure of the
The
business as well.
structure. Oh yeah.
And also, I know you love this the most, especially if it's a corporate incorporated business, the SWOT.
Yeah.
Because if you don't have like a plan or like
Right.
a business plan or a SWOT, it's going to be kind of tricky for you to be in corporation. But
Yeah.
I guess that's why a lot of people go straight to
Sole
sole
proprietor, it's
proprietorship.
easier.
Just like
It's way easier.
it's
And let's break down for the listeners. So what SWOT is? So SWOT is a strategic planning tool that stands for strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. So you use it to look at internally what your strengths and capabilities are and your weaknesses, and you look
yes.
externally on what potential opportunity or threats lie external. You can look internal for opportunities and threats as well, right?
Mhm.
But it's a really powerful tool to assess the viability of a business. And for me, every single thing that I do a SWOT. And a lot of people probably
True
when they first
story.
hear SWOT,
True
they think
story.
SWOT for exam in a university. Like exam at company just go SWOT. Yeah, man. You consider the SWOT like that. You could put together a cheat sheet of success. So it's just a
Exactly.
SWOT and thing and thing. Um, But yeah, like sole proprietor is where I started, and as Camille said, yo, it's like one person sole ownership. The risk and the rewards stays with you, the owner, right? The risk of profit stays with you. The risk of loss stays with you. And the reason why it's a risk of profit, and think about profit. Profit is not a risky; it's a good thing. But the reason why it's a risk is because you may not make any profit, right? So whether or not you make a profit or a
True.
loss is gonna be the onus is on you, the owner, right? From a tax perspective, again, the money's taxed in your hands, the physical hands. Pop up the hands. So, and then no, like so those are, but it's easy. It's easy to set up. You literally just go to Service Ontario website. You can probably Google how to start a business in Ontario. You'll see Service Ontario pop up. You choose sole proprietor, and you literally put in your name and you pay the fee. I believe it's like $60, and
Yeah,
voila, you get a master business license. Yeah,
I
a
think
sole
yeah.
proprietor.
It's
Yeah,
and I have it up here just to make sure that we're saying the right
nice.
numbers. It is 60, and
It's 60.
then the partnership
Yeah,
is 120.
yeah. And
Hold
what is
on.
a partnership? So like,
Mm,
because
question.
don't confuse it. I know in some culture we have a partner or susu. So don't. I mean, to some extent there are similarities, but they're legally they're different. So
Correct. So the
how do you
partnership.
define a partnership?
So partnership is the same concept of a sole proprietorship, but it has more than two people. There are
Yeah,
two or more folks.
yeah.
So unless I had split personality, I can't say I have a partnership. I only have a sole proprietorship. And I'm not dissing anyone that has split personality, by the way. But
So
yeah,
my personality
partnership
is
is
split up all over the place. So and me not take no offense.
But yeah. But yeah, it's the same concept of a
Right.
partnership, of a sole proprietorship. Is this ooh, I personally haven't done one for a tax. Have you?
Hmm.
Because I can only imagine that if it's a 50-50 split, then life is easy,
Yeah.
right? But personally, I haven't done one. Ooh, and I can't wait
Yeah, I've
for
never
the
done one.
day.
Honestly, I don't really have any interest in doing one, to be honest. But I've never done one. I mean, yeah, it works
But I
similar
think,
to.
yeah, it
I mean,
must be based
it's
on the
similar to the,
percentage.
yeah, it's similar to the a personal tax, unless there are like complexities like,
Mm-hmm.
like owner like drawing from capital or
Yes,
whatever. Yeah, like
exactly.
I imagine it's pretty straightforward. You might have to do like a separate form. Um,
Actually, funny story because I always see it when I do like the self-employed. There is a section where it's like the partnership
Partnership,
and
yeah,
it's just asking for the percentage, like, oh, is this
exactly,
individual?
yeah,
So, oh, it's
yeah,
gonna be fun the day that
yeah.
happens.
The hardest part would be to figure out the division. So okay, it's you make 100,000. I have 30%, then 30% is reported, and then CRA might ask you a bunch of other questions to really go with that. Um,
And you know what's the most important one for a partnership? You should have a contract or you
yes,
should advise with a lawyer.
yeah, hundred
And I,
percent.
so like a sole proprietorship, in my opinion, I didn't know. You don't really have to deal with a lawyer because you're dealing with
Mm-hmm.
yourself.
Mm-hmm.
It's the contracts come into play when you have your clients and you want
When you
to
have clients, right?
be proper. But my opinion, a partnership, incorporation,
Mm-hmm.
that's when you should be seeking a lawyer and then also a CPA
Yeah, 100%.
because
I learned, and I'm glad you brought that up because it's a really important point. And I see we love when we do business. Sometimes we love to do it the cheap way. But one important lesson that I learned in grade, I believe I was in grade 9 at the time, is
mm,
to make sure everything is in writing. And the
yep,
person told me, say, yo, the pen and the paper is more powerful than the mouth. If it's not in writing, it was
so
never
true.
said or it was never agreed to. Always remember that in business. And that can look many ways. Like you can look at email. Let me tell you one thing with me that I've developed over the years. Any
Mhm.
business arrangement or anything that I do or whatever work,
Yeah,
I send a follow-up email immediately after, and I say, yo, as per our conversation today, you said so and so and so, and I await an acknowledgement, right? And when you're entering in business too, you want to make sure you're signing, you're having agreements, especially with your partner, because it's easy for two people, especially friends. You'll find this in a lot of times with friends situation. Yeah, man, you're your virgin or your sister or whatever. And I say, yeah, man, we're going to business and we so lovey-dovey and whatever. But
Yeah.
it's when money come into play. Maybe that's why people always say money is the root of all evil. But when money come into play,
Different story.
different
Jeez.
story. So you want to make sure that you have that written agreement from the start, so that
That's
when
true.
money come into play, you can
Hmm.
reference back to it and say, yo, this is what we agreed to.
And I like how you said that you do emails, and I just learned recently that um to to be able to track certain concerns and
Mm-hmm.
things, it's good to have an email, no text message thing, no WhatsApp.
Mm-hmm.
Even like you see how we're on Zoom, it's best to like take notes and
Yeah.
you know how like there's usually people that have minutes in
Yeah.
their meetings and stuff. It's always great to have like things that you discuss and bring it back to the client or partner, whoever.
100%.
I've learned I've learned that the hard way, because like I've had discussions with people verbally, and
Right.
then all of a sudden they come back acting like, oh, I didn't know that. I'm like, we had a conversation. I don't understand.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm? So I've
Yep.
gotten to learn like you have to do that. Like it's very
Yep.
important. So
I learned that I think in grade 9, because I had a situation where I had a situation with a teacher and there was
mm,
nothing from my end in writing. And that's when I learned to write report. It was in grade 9. On this day and day and day, so and so did this, the
yeah,
who, what, why, when, blah, blah, blah. That's from that day
jeez,
forward. And
that's when
I
you
develop a habit. It doesn't matter what it is. Even if
mm,
I need to make a report to myself, I make a note in my phone and I document everything in detail.
you
And so
can't
those
even
are
put
some of
it
the
in
good
phone
practices in
anymore.
business. Eh?
You can't even do it in phone. I lost everything the other day with my phone,
Oh
all my
no.
notes. But
Damn.
that's because I didn't go with uh,
Email and
always
CC
backup
yourself.
things. Hmm? Right?
Email and BCC yourself or something.
Sure.
All right. So jump into the corporation now, because me love corporation, and I'll
Yes.
tell you my reasons why I love corporation, like why I prefer to
So
incorporate.
actually, before we do,
Yeah.
let's go with how we started in our sole proprietorship. So literally, what happened was, I'll start since I just
All right.
decided. I had a plan, like
Yeah.
2015. I wanted to do taxes. I was doing it on the side. I was mentioning it in my taxes, so I wasn't
Yeah.
jipping the system. But I was like, yo, I really want to make this like legit. What should I have the name as? I almost put it as KAS, like to my symbols, like of my
Mm.
name. I'm not say my middle name. If you know my middle name. But yeah, I was gonna put as my initials, but then I formed up this Fitness IQ because fitness, finance, boom, boom, boom.
Mm.
I I went on I think it's Ontario.ca, open for business, signed up. I was excited. I think I did it like noon or something. And I was like, oh,
You did that one?
I did at like noon or something. I was like, oh,
Oh.
I opened my business. I went straight to a bank. I went to
Yeah.
RBC to open the bank account. And I was like, yeah, I felt, I
That
felt
was an
like,
exciting time.
yeah, it was like a new chapter. So I was like, yeah, I'm gonna open up the thing. I'm gonna do it right. Um, and I got my bank account, and then
Mm-hmm.
I just started. I'm not gonna lie, I did use my personal credit card for business stuff. However, I signed up with QuickBooks
Mm-hmm.
ASAP, so I was able to track things. I always made sure I had a certain thing to track. I
Mm-hmm.
had my Excel sheet, I had QuickBooks. I made sure those things were,
That's good. That's good that You start practice those things from early.
right? So, and then I think, but then I do my own taxes. But I always ask for advice, like if I think like things are like off, but I always make sure like I have the financial statements and all that good
Mm-hmm.
stuff, because those are important too. Even with the sole proprietorship, in
Mm-hmm.
my opinion, you should have those, right? I think the couple things that I want to get soon
Mm-hmm.
is a business credit card. So I strictly like, obviously I have a card that I use strictly for like my business, but it's like it's still under my name and stuff. So I want to like,
Mm-hmm.
solidify everything. And I think the game plan is once the 5 years, because the sole proprietorship is good for 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
Once it expires, I want to switch it to a corporation. So,
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to get like
Yeah.
you.
And I mean, when you talk about switching, so I want to highlight because a lot of people don't know that this is a thing, is that when you move from one form to the other,
Mhm,
um, there are actually certain taxation rules that are triggered.
mhm.
Um, and it's like you're buying, the corporation is buying out your assets.
Yes.
And then so you have to do like some transfer rule, like asset transfer rule.
Lord,
That's what
yes,
transfer thing.
yes.
Yeah, I don't remember off the top of my head, but I mean, a lot of people don't do it, and a lot of times you're honestly it's just a name change. There's no significant amount of assets. So it's super
Mhm.
straightforward, so people don't pay it any mind. But there is actually a thing where you have to like officially transfer the
That's true.
assets to the corporation. Um,
It's like the cash, um, retain earnings,
yeah,
equity, and all that good stuff.
as any assets, fixed
Mhm.
assets, current assets. But that's if you're thinking about that and you have like significant amount of assets, then you need to speak to an accountant, right?
Mhm.
Really important.
Yes.
The other thing that I wanna I wanna quickly highlight something
Hmm.
before I share. I don't know. Are you? Sorry, me take over from you, Camille.
No,
Uh,
no, no.
I wanted to talk about the Blueprint grant by American Express. Free
Yes.
money, people. It can't get no better than this. Free money,
What?
free $10,000,
What?
right?
What? Hold on, hold on. How much?
It's
10?
between American Express and DMZ.
I think I screenshotted that. But there's some guidelines with that, right?
Yeah, the eligibility criteria. It's there on the website. Just Google AMX grant. Sorry, AMX
Yes.
Blueprint grant, and you
Yes.
should see it pop up. But some of the things that they're talking about, and that's why we decided to talk about one of the other reasons we decided to talk about incorporating a business. So you have
Hmm.
to be identified as a BIPOC business, so Black, Indigenous, and people of color, right? You
Hmm.
have to be a Canadian citizen, permanent resident of Canada, or hold a current and valid authorization under the Canadian Immigration and Refugee Protection Act. I'm not sure what that authorization looks like.
I think
You
I
have to
got
be a
that.
founder, owner, or hold a senior position within a privately held for-profit company where the company is at least 50% owned by BIPOC owners or founders. So let me break it down. It's a mouthful. All right. So the first part of that criteria is that you have to be a founder or owner, or you have to
Hmm.
hold a senior position within a business that's a for-profit. So a for-profit means that you're in the business to make money, right? You're not a charity and you're not a not-for-profit,
I'm
right?
glad
So
you
Camille
mentioned
is a
that.
for-profit business. I'm a for-profit, and a lot of us go into for-profit. So you have to be a founder, owner, or a senior member. So like a chief operating officer or
Hmm.
a chief
CEO,
financial
founder.
officer, whatever the case is.
Yeah.
You have to own at least 50%, right? So this means that your business is not eligible from, this is one of the first indication that your business has to be an incorporation to be qualified because it mentioned 50% owned by BIPOC founders, right?
Hmm.
I mean, this is
So
not definitive because it can be a sole proprietor, but
yes.
this is an indication that they might go in a corporation.
So that means, folks, if you have, say, it's Andre and I, but Andre was white and he had 60% of the business,
Wouldn't be
it can't
qualified.
happen. Yeah.
Exactly.
You have to be 50-50 at least, right?
50-50. right? And it doesn't necessarily mean that it has to be exactly 50-50. It means that 50% or more has to be owned by BIPOC,
Correct.
right? It's at least 50%. So
Mm-hmm.
good point there, Camille.
Yeah.
The other thing is that you have to have a business incorporated in Canada where the business is primarily operated and managed in Canada with a maximum of 500,000 in annual revenue. So let's break this down. So there are a couple parts to this. The first part is that the business has to be incorporated in Canada. So you need an incorporated business before you apply.
Yes.
The other part is that the business is primarily operated and managed in Canada. That's a criteria. Usually in finance language and accounting, primarily means 90% or more of the assets or the operation is in Canada. So if you
Okay.
incorporate in Canada, but your business is done elsewhere in another country, majority of
Mm-hmm.
the time, it is
Mm-hmm.
not primarily operated and managed in Canada. So your business has to be operating in Canada majority of the time.
Yes.
You cannot exceed or you cannot have revenue over 500,000. So if your revenue is 501,000, it means you're not qualified. So it has to be 500,000 or less, right? A maximum of
What?
500,000. And mind you, it says annual revenue, not profit, right? Not net profit. I mean, if
Okay.
your net profit is over 500,000, it means that your revenue is far greater. But
Yeah. You
so
Gucci.
annual revenue 500,000. Other condition, your business must be currently active in the Canadian market or have been previously active in the Canadian market. That is made sales and or have an existing customer base, right? So your business has to be active. So within,
Mm-hmm.
they didn't put a time frame here, but I'm assuming within the last 6 months to 12 months, you
Yeah.
must have done any of these things in Canada. And then the last thing here, speak English or French fluently. Seems pretty straightforward, right? 10 grand for just for these things here.
That's I'm glad you I'm glad you read it because I think I glimpsed it really quick and I was like,
Mhm.
"Ooh." I thought half of people wouldn't be eligible, but now that you read it and said it out loud, folks, get on this.
Get on
Like,
it.
and
If
I
you're
think
not incorporated,
what's the due date?
incorporate.
When's the
I
due
believe
date?
it's the 26th or the 27th. Hold on.
Oh, hopefully
The
it's the 27th.
27th
All right.
at 11:59 p.m. So you
So
need, and don't
whoever,
wait till 11:58. Submit it
mm,
before, just in case
exactly.
something wrong with the system.
So if you're listening to this on Monday and Tuesday, you still have time. You still have time.
Exactly. You
And
have
the
time.
best thing is it's a grant, so you don't have to pay it back.
Yeah, you don't have to pay back. May apply already. Flip and Floss already
Nice.
apply.
Yay.
So wish us luck, but yeah, it's definitely, and not only that, it's not only the money. They have a mentorship program, a 15-week mentorship program.
That's
That's
the most
also you're
important.
getting expert help for free.
Nice. I
Can't go wrong.
think I'm glad you mentioned something with the Canadian owned or operated.
Yeah.
With a corporation, you have to decide whether you're going to be Canada wide or if you're going to be like in a province. So it's
Hmm.
really important to figure that out as
Hmm.
well. Do you think tax wise it's ideal to be Canada wide or like the provincial
Um,
I know I just gave you like
yeah, I
a
mean there might be tax benefits.
Mhm.
I mean the federal tax rate is, I don't know what it is. Is it 15%?
Yeah,
Um,
with the HST, yeah. Oh no
no,
no no,
no, the
sorry
corporate
sorry
tax
sorry
rate.
sorry sorry.
The corporate tax rate, I believe it's about 15% federal tax rate. But yes, there might
Let
be
me double
tax
check.
benefits because some province might charge have a lower corporate tax rate. So
Yeah,
there might be some taxable benefits.
yes,
Well, not taxable. There might be some tax benefits from um,
different
like
provinces and
Canada,
stuff.
right, based on the province.
Yeah.
The other thing though, that's a point because Flip and Floss is Canada. We were incorporated Canada wide, and the two reasons why we made that decision. The number one is that we wanted to be able to identify as Flip and Floss Canada, right?
Eh,
So if you're incorporated in Ontario, for example, you cannot say, like, if we were incorporated in Ontario, we couldn't say Flip and Floss Canada. We probably would have to say Flip and
yes.
Floss Ontario.
And fun fact is before you, so okay, you remember how I said I tried to see what name I wanted?
Mm-hmm.
I also Googled the business name to make sure like I'm the only person with it.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure you did that too. So
Yeah.
that is one of the most important. I know someone that is having a hard time buying their name, even though it's like different from everyone else, but there's like
Right.
a letter or two that's the same.
Right.
And I mean,
So
it kind of does.
yeah, when it comes to
Into the issue.
incorporation, you have to do what they call a nuance search. So and that's just literally a name search. You have to search to make sure that the name is available because you cannot use a name that's already taken. I think you have to do something similar for sole proprietor.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that is a required step.
Yeah. So
And that's an
there's a lot of
important one.
steps.
Huh?
There's a lot of. I think there's a lot of steps that individuals don't realize, and that's why we decided to do this episode so
Right.
you understand because
Right.
it's not that easy.
And but the other thing that you want to pay attention to as when you're incorporating, and I
Mm,
learned this in business school early,
yeah.
is that not because the name is available. So you like I might be able to go in the system and I might
Mm-hmm.
be able to name my business Walmart with and spell it WAALL Wall hyphen MAART Walmart, and it's a
Mm.
grocery store. So even though that name is available, it doesn't mean that Walmart can't come and sue me, right?
You know what? Love to sue me.
You know, I never do you. So you have to think about that as well, because if it is that your username that could create doubt for people are unable to differentiate between the brand, between regular Walmart and your Walmart,
Yeah.
then that might pose a challenge for you as a business owner.
Question: wasn't Apple had that type of issue too?
I don't know about Apple. I know Gucci and Guess they were fighting over the G. That's the one
Mm-hmm.
I'm aware of. I'm
Oh
not
my
familiar
God.
with the Apple one.
I think, and if I'm wrong, my bad. It's just something I just remembered
Mhm.
randomly. That Apple has been sued so many times because they've used the name and someone else owns the name. And I think, I want to say it was like Beatles or something.
Mhm.
But I could, like, I'll
No, yeah,
Google
you
it
could be
and
right,
double check. But yeah, Apple used to get sued so many times. We're like, let's just do it. Whatever. We got money
Yeah.
and stuff, right?
Yeah, so you
Um,
definitely want to keep that take that into consideration when you're
yeah.
coming up with a name, right?
Oh, random question. So for and I think I was asked this question before. Are you able, darn it, I think I asked in my head, the way I'm asking it is probably wrong because I think I know the answer.
No, no,
What
no.
about when it comes to like putting your corporation, like the money into investments or I guess like public trade? How does that work? Like, I know some people are like thinking way past like, oh, this is gonna be big. I'm gonna be able to publicly trade it. I'm gonna get dividends and all that great
So
stuff.
sorry, publicly trade the corporation to like get
Yeah.
listed.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, I'm not too familiar with that process, but it's a pretty complicated process. You have to apply
Mm-hmm.
to the regulatory body that oversees trading. You're gonna need different financial institutions to underwrite the shares to come up with a value. It's a pretty
Mm-hmm.
expensive and complicated process.
Jeez.
So you'd have to like check with IROC, I believe they're called in Canada.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so you'd have to check with them and together. But that's a whole
Surrender.
separate ball game. And I imagine
Yes.
that you'd need audited financial statements. So you're probably gonna have to be operating for a while. You're gonna
Mm-hmm.
need
True.
audited financial statements and all of that stuff. So I'm pretty sure it's a complicated process because they have to protect the investors and their money. So
True. And the penny
pretty
stocks. Or you
yeah.
could be a penny
We'd
stock.
have to
Yeah.
get an expert in that area to come on. It's not that area that can be easily talked about. It's a pretty complicated
That
area.
is
So
true.
probably have to bring on the real G them.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not the
Don't
real
worry,
G for
we'll
that
find
area. That's
it.
outside my specialty.
No worries. It was
But
I think I asked it two different ways. But the
Mm.
way I'm thinking it is, I feel like or you can use your money to go into investments, right? And then not. I think I'm asking the question wrong, but
So
it's okay.
are you asking about using money from the corporation to actually invest in stocks?
Yes.
Okay. All right. The one different. The one that sounds easier than the first one.
Right?
Um, I mean, I think it's it's essential, similar to like how, because when you think about a corporation, like
Mm,
a corporation legally is a person, right?
correct.
So it's just like this person going into the bank and meeting the requirements to open that investment account for the business and
Mm-hmm.
investing in the business. The only thing is that when it comes to you have to report that investment on your financial statement,
Jeez.
right? And you are gonna have to value that investment. So when it comes to like let's say your uh, so you are a private enterprise, you can use what they call ASPE, which is accounting standards for a private entity, which it's not as onerous as IFRS, which is International Financial Reporting Standard. That is the one that you have to use as a public company that's publicly listed on the stock market. It's mandatory.
Yes.
So ASPE, the private sector one, you can I don't remember the rule around investment, but I imagine that there are different methods that you'd have to use to value that investment. You can use what they call the fair value method. The fair
Mm,
value method is where you look at the market value at the time of reporting, and that's what's
yeah.
reported on the statements. Or you can use the book method, which
Yeah.
is what the purchase was, whatever the cost of the asset was. And there are rules around both of those. And I think once you choose a method, I think you have to stick to it. I don't remember the specific rule. Um, or you have to disclose if you want to change the rule, right? But you have
Yeah.
to disclose in the notes to your financial statement whether or not you're using the book method or cost
Mm-hmm.
method or the fair value method. And of course, you have to you might have gains and losses from
The investments.
from
Yeah.
investment that needs to be reported in your income as a non-operating income. So if you go into that, I mean, you might just jump in and not know the technicality behind it, but from a reporting standpoint, it requires more
Yeah.
in terms of reporting the financial statements.
So
But yeah, I think it's doable.
it is doable. So, folks, I know that was a mouthful,
You
but
bring
it's
me back in,
okay.
you bring back in the accounting 101. Well,
He's like,
that's like advanced accounting, some
I
advanced
remember
accounting shit.
those. I
I had to
remember.
dig up, I had to jump for the CPA handbook just now, and I'm like, oh shit, investment. How do you
Yo,
record investment in the
when
financial
you
statement?
started saying that, I was like, yo, accounting 104. Oh man, accounting 504 and all that stuff.
Yo, that's
Gee.
some advanced accounting shit that I haven't touched in years.
See,
But
guys,
yeah, I
it's
used to
good,
love that stuff, like fair value method and anyways. So
right?
yeah, so
It's good to pay
interesting stuff.
attention.
Yeah, like link me up if you want. If you have no question about anything, or just link us up
Yeah.
on the things I wish I knew about money. Send us a message there, and like we can talk, more privately about all the different methods in accounting. And actually, I help so a friend of mine sent
Mhm.
another friend of mine, well, not my friend, but he sent it my way, and it's an early
Yeah.
stage company,
Hmm.
really creative idea. I won't put it out there because I never told him that I was gonna say it, and I don't know if it's something that he wants public. But the idea is incredible,
Yeah.
and I worked with him through his financial statement. So he was applying for funding, and I had to help him to prepare a income statement, a balance sheet, and a statement of cash flow
Yeah.
projected over 3 years. And it was a super interesting. You know, I never normally, I charge for these things, but it's like I
So
see the
you.
potential was there. It's a
Yeah.
BIPOC youth, and I'm like, for the community, let's do this. You're gonna get the funding, right? And I remember even putting colors in the different statements so that it reflects his branding and whatever. And he
Yeah.
was just so impressed. But
Nice.
anyways, I know we went off on a total different path, and if
No
you're
worries.
passionate
No
about
worries.
accounting and whatever,
Mhm.
I'm passionate about talking about accounting, but not to actually work in accounting. Accounting is boring as hell. Um,
It has
like
its
my,
days. It has its days, right? Oh
all
man.
right, so
I
yeah,
think did we get were we able to discuss everything? So the structures is sole proprietorship.
partnership,
partnership,
and I was finishing up
Oh yes, okay,
incorporation.
okay.
So yeah, like to incorporate, same website, Service Ontario, or if you're going Canada-wide, you probably have to go do a Canada-wide search. You have to go to just search incorporating your business in Canada or Canada-wide incorporation, and that will take you to the Government of Canada page. But you'll need to complete the articles of incorporation. That's available on the website, so it's not something that you have to come up with on your own. How it's designed is that there's a template on the website, and it will ask you if you want to go with the standard language or if you want to create your own language. For the most part, you can just go with the standard language. Later on, you can amend the articles of incorporation if your corporation grow and you want to bring in more complicated language. But there are certain things that you want to keep in mind. So you need a business name. You need to identify the board of directors. You need to identify how many shares you're going to issue, right? And one of the things you want to keep in mind is that you want to issue the shares at a low cost. So that would be your capital injection in the business. So if you say you're going to issue 1 million shares at $1, then chances are you probably need $1 million.
Wow.
Right? So, but what you can do is you can issue the million shares and you can get a very low value that amounts to $1. You can issue the shares at probably 1 cent or 0.0000 something per share. So that when you issue the million share, it actually means that they need to contribute $1,000 to the business. You have the capacity to figure that out, but that would be your equity injection into the business. So those are some of the things that you need to consider. Not very complicated, super straightforward. How they design the website, it walks you through that step-by-step process very easily. Now, when you incorporate, what are the benefits and how is it different? Now, the difference between incorporation and a partnership and a sole proprietor are the potential benefits that it comes with. So going back to, and Kamille, feel free to interrupt because you know two things I know about me already. I love chat and I love chat about business. So double whammy. So feel free to jump in and interrupt me.
All right, bet.
So when you incorporate, right, so from a tax perspective, in Canada, the tax rules, the tax law recognizes 3 persons. Individual, a trust, and a business, a corporation. So as a corporation, it's a separate legal entity from the person. So this is me. So I incorporated Flip and Floss. I am Andre. Flip and Floss is Flip and Floss. It has its own personality in the eyes of the law, separate from me. All right. Now, what are some of the benefits from me? Even though we're separate, what are the benefits that it does for me? So, income perspective, right? I can determine how much I'm going to pay myself, right? So I can literally say, okay, I'm going to take a salary of only $5,000 per year, even though Flip and Floss is making 10 million. Right?
What?
So that keeps the money in Flip and Floss and potentially at a lower tax rate. And there are many things I can do there. So it allows you to keep more money in your hands as an owner, right? The other thing is that you can do what I call income splitting, right? So if Kamille and I, were related in one way, shape, or form, I can say, yo, Kamille, you are the CFO, I'm the CEO, this is your salary, this is my salary. So split the income. So Kamille gets to utilize all her tax benefits available to her. I get to utilize all my tax benefits available to me. And in the end, we pay lower tax on our income.
Message.
And then liability, right? So this is a big one. So protects you from lawsuits. So if Flip and Floss were to get itself in trouble with the law and somebody were going to sue me or whatever, they wouldn't be able to come off of my personal assets. They'd have to go off of the assets of Flip and Floss, right? Assets of the corporation. So it protects against that. And there's a whole heap of other ones, but those are the major ones I want to keep it. Unless I don't know if Kamille want to.
No, that is an important one, especially when it comes to sole proprietorship. If you get sued, you, the person, is getting sued.
Yeah.
If your
liable.
Company gets sued as a corporation, you aren't getting sued as a person. It's the business. So that's thank you for mentioning that. But
and there's some if you're getting
not
sued,
to get sued.
if you're getting sued,
yes.
Anyone, speak to your accountant. Don't ask me. If you're a sole proprietor or whatever, or a lawyer, ask them about spousal rules, especially if you're married.
Ooh.
Ask about the spousal rule and if there are any legal protection from your assets. I will leave it at that, but just know that
Oh,
if you're
that's
married, it comes
another
with benefits.
topic.
Marriage comes with benefits actually. So, but I'll leave it there.
See,
And
and so many times we're like, oh, marriages, da 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 da. You know how many times I've been hearing this whole week about marriages like foolishness, and I just say, you know what? Let me just keep my mouth shut. Yeah.
First off, you have spousal privilege, so your spouse is not legally required to say anything. But the spousal rule can the spousal rules, they can work in your favor and against you sometimes.
Yes. Ooh, and sorry, with the income split, I said message also because that can also go for your children as well, as long as you find a way to make them work with your business.
So let's tell you how that
should
can
have
work.
done
Let's
that
discuss how it
long
works.
time.
You have to be very careful with that one. So
yes, my opinion.
So I'll give you some of the things. So, and I won't go into detail, but I'll tell you what to be aware of when it comes to splitting income with kids or minor. So when it comes to minor, you want to be aware of what they call kiddie tax. Yes, there's actually a thing in Canada called kiddie tax. I mean, it's a cute name, but it's not cute in reality. It actually taxes you at a higher bracket. So I'll say look at the kiddie tax rule if you're planning to split with minor. The other thing is that you want to pay attention to is what they call attribution rule, right? Attribution rules. So even though you might give a minor or somebody else dividends in the corporation, thinking that you're giving them dividend to not put too much income in your hand, there are certain rules that can attribute that income from the dividend back to you. I won't go into the complexities of that, but just know that there are attribution rules out there that can attribute the money back to you.
This is section 120.4, tax
on
you
find them? You're quick here.
What is that? I was like, what?
All right. The other one I want to highlight is snap. I don't remember what it's called, but it's similar to attribution and kiddie tax, but I don't remember the actual Income Tax Act terminology. But what it is like, let's say you decide to give like your let's say I decide to give you as a family member or one of my kids or whatever income splitting. So the income splitting rules. So you want to there are some conditions that you have to meet. So there's an age requirement, or you have to make sure that the work is that the salary is comparable to what they would get on the market. So you can't say, yo, the person, an admin assistant, I have paid them $2 million a year, right? So there are certain requirements around income splitting that you want to take into consideration. So I would call it income splitting rules for now.
Yeah.
Because that sounds more plausible. So I'd say look up those three things as a corporation. Those are probably the scariest things. So kiddie tax, attribution rules, and income splitting rules.
Be wise when you decide to tackle these type of things. Get your CPA to talk to, and your lawyer.
Yes, get a certified accountant talk about these things with. I wouldn't talk to you about these because I'm not experienced in these areas. I know them enough to avoid them or not to get myself in a situation, or to know that I can speak to an accountant about it, but I'm not an expert in these areas. So I definitely want to speak to the right people as it relates to these areas of the rules.
Correct.
Yeah. A whole heap of things to think about, and that's why we have the podcast here, the things I wish I knew about money. And even, if you guys want to find the expert in this area, just let us know. And we'll go and search and find them and bring them on. Right?
Searching. Sorry. We will, because once again, we don't know everything, but we're trying to learn. We're trying to learn as much as we can, and knowledge is power, 100%. And whatever knowledge we find, we want to provide to y'all, because that's how we grow as a community and grow together to, be stronger than ever.
Exactly. Knowledge is power. And I want to repeat one more time, the deadline for the Amex grant, and I was told to put it out there. So I put it out there because somebody work at American Express asked me to share the love. So please apply, people. $10,000 grant. 15-week mentorship program. Great opportunity for BIPOC youth. Just Google
Yeah.
AMEX Blueprint Grant, and it will pop up.
You know what? We're gonna give you a freebie. I think I said I was gonna do it last week and I forgot. I will do it this week. So send me the link and I will post it onto the YouTube. So you have to follow us on YouTube.
Yeah, follow us.
You have to search for us on YouTube
And I
to
send it
find.
right now because I have it open. Let me send the link up here.
All right.
Um,
And what else? So basically, when it comes to starting a business, yes, a sole proprietorship is more affordable and feasible for a lot of folks, but there are a lot of things that you'll be missing out if you don't get incorporated.
If you don't get
But
incorporated, yeah.
if you do get incorporated, we would like for you to be serious about it and plan accordingly. I don't want to hear like, I got so many ideas and plan it out accordingly because you don't want.
Yeah, definitely. Do it the right way.
Yeah.
Incorporate your business. Get a business bank account because otherwise you're gonna miss out on a lot of opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
And the thing is, it takes, I'm gonna say, 2 to 3 years for you to actually see things push through. Yeah. So that first 2 years, you're gonna be like, this is hard. How do people do it? Right. It's not till the 4th year when I actually started seeing things, and I just can't wait for the years to come things, you know?
I mean, yeah, it is a journey. I'll tell you, like, for me, my entrepreneurial journey, I've learned some invaluable skills that I would not have learned, working like, in my day-to-day job. I'm not saying I learned important skills in my day-to-day job, but my role never, for example, required me to go out and actively negotiate deals and negotiate things and whatever. It never actively required me to write grant proposals. It never required me to do my current job now requires me to do like environmental scanning for technological trends and advancement, but that's something that I learned on my own prior to getting this job. Actually, it's my entrepreneurial skills that I've learned on my own that got me my current job, right? So it is a really exciting journey. And just like Kamille said earlier, knowledge is power. Like, keep educating yourself, keep listening to our podcast, like, follow, and subscribe. We're going to be sharing a whole heap of incredible information, things that you probably never heard before. And we're going to bring on the experts all the time. You see me? Absolutely. So, yeah, man, I rest my case and I look out to see more people are connected with to incorporate the business or to discuss business ideas. Yeah. That's why we're here.
And also another great thing about having a business, as long as the operating cost, as long as they are a business operating costs, you're able to claim it in your taxes.
Definitely.
So
we're going to drill into that actually in terms of some of the things that we can claim from a tax perspective.
Yes, come true.
So definitely going to drill into that.
You know what? And here's one that people don't book most of the time. Your bank fees. Your bank fees. As much as I didn't like paying a bank fee, but when it came to like a business, I'm like, well, at least I can claim it back. But try to have one that makes sense for your business. Why are you going to have like, I'm going to make an absurd amount, $30 a month for unlimited everything, but you only do 10 transactions a month. Guys.
Yeah, connect with me. I'll give you some links to no fee bank account because that don't make sense. I don't have no banking fees.
Wait, who you have? Because I had RBC. I have RBC still, and I actually like them. And I mean,
they're great. CIBC are the boss, man. Come to me. I'm gonna connect you with the right connector, CIBC, and you get fee account.
There's there's 2 banks that I didn't care for, but one of them I'm starting to like again because of personal things. But but yes, business operating costs. Should we post that, or should no? And actually, come to us if you want to know the promised land of
Yeah, man. We have
operating
everything.
costs. And I have our song. I have our song. I have your song. This is our song
Oh,
too.
you have it?
Yeah, I have it. Or you
I
found
lie.
it?
I mean, we have it here, but go on the road now.
All
Take it
right.
to them.
So, for last notes. So, folks, follow, like, subscribe, share it with a friend that is looking to have a business or has a business plan going out, because you want to do it the right way so you're not like stressing overall. Trust me, I know people that stress because they just winged it and thought they could just, wing it and everything's going to be all right. No, there's going to be days where it's like, this is so stressful.
Exactly.
So do it the right way, plan accordingly. Or if you have to, try to revamp and do better as the months, weeks, years go by and things, Do you have anything to say, Dre?
No, that's it on mine. We're all good.
All right, so let's go with the song. I hope I have it. Fame music.
True, you know?
Anyway, you chop, floss, money, literacy box. Fitness in our blood because you're working for your class. Floss, money, literacy box. Yeah, I'm talking knowledge for me. Floss, money, literacy box. Fitness in our blood because you're working for your class. Floss, money, literacy box. Yo, I'm talking knowledge for me.